They just picked songs that I just thought were so great. Well, it is our privilege this morning to welcome our lovely ladies at Teen Challenge. You know, Pensacola is blessed. We have a men's teen challenge and a women's teen challenge. Many cities that are larger than we are do not have that privilege, and we are blessed. So, Amanda, would you like to come? And Kayla, okay. I will hand it over to you, my dear.
Good morning. All right, my name is Kayla. I have the honor and privilege to work at Teen Challenge with all of these beautiful ladies. So I want to give you guys a little bit of history about Teen Challenge. Teen Challenge began in 1958 by David Wilkerson. David was a pastor of a small church in Pennsylvania, and he felt the Lord speaking to him one night as he was watching TV, and God told him to give up his TV and to put it down, stop watching it, and to spend time in prayer. It was about that time that he seen on a newspaper a gang who had murdered a boy with polio, and he felt the Lord calling him towards to go and minister to those young men. However, he got there, he got in the courtroom, and he got kicked out. And then, so he was just like, he was going back and forth from Pennsylvania to New York, because that's where it had happened, and he just felt like the Lord was continually impressing this on his heart. And he never got to go and minister to those young boys. However, from his obedience to the Lord, he started ministering to people out there on the street. And he started speaking life to them. He seen the need of how many teens were in active addiction out there on the streets of New York. David Wilkerson's life was a beautiful example of Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, where it says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, lean not on your own understanding, but in all of your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." And it's from his obedience to the Lord that now there are over 1,000 teen challenges worldwide. And that's how impactful our lives can be whenever we're living for Jesus and we're acknowledging him in every single bit of our ways. We're blessed to have a teen challenge right here in Pensacola. We have both men and women's center. Our men's center holds up to 85 men, and the women's center holds up to 36 women. So now I'm going to give you guys some statistics as far as addiction. So there are every year 28 million Americans struggle with drug abuse. There are nearly 2 million adolescents from the age of 12 to 17 who need treatment. In 2017, 70,000 Americans died from drug overdoses. That's 191 people per day. That's in America. That's not all over the world. There are 275 million addicts worldwide. 7 people die every single minute from addiction or addiction-related causes. More people die every year from addiction or addiction-related causes than live in Mississippi. Approximately 3.7 million people are losing their life each year from this epidemic. Addiction is stealing away mothers, fathers, children from their families. It does not discriminate against race, age, financial status, or religion. For most people in addiction, they believe there is only one of 3 ways from relief from drug addiction. That's continued drug use, prison, or death. That's the world's statistics. I know with Jesus that this is completely opposite. I know that because I come from a family of addiction. My parents were in addiction. Their parents were in addiction. So by the world's statistics, I should stay in addiction too. And that happens so much more than not. But I can tell you with Jesus, there is nothing that is impossible for him. We are never too far gone, ever. So I grew up with my parents who were in addiction. I started drinking at a very, very young age. I couldn't even tell you how young I was. My parents would give me alcohol. Me and my sister would give us alcohol, little bottles of alcohol, just because they were drinking. So they gave us some. And then I was in and out of foster care from the time I was 9 up until I was 18. I aged out. I got to go home whenever I was 15, and I was like, yes, this is what I've always wanted, just to be with my parents. I just want to be with my parents. I just want to be enough for them. And I got to go home whenever I was 15, and then that's whenever I started my hard drug use. That was the first time that I used meth. That was the first time that I felt a sense of security, but it was false, and I didn't know that. So I continued on in drug addiction. Whenever I was 21, I got married to a man who was very abusive. We had gotten clean and sober and thought that everything was okay. No. I ended up relapsing, and he ended up relapsing, and it just got so bad from there. The physical abuse, the mental abuse, the emotional abuse just got worse and worse. And finally I left. I said, if I don't leave, you're going to kill me. And at that point, I didn't even care. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about anything that happened to me. I cared about what would happen to him. And I didn't want him to go to prison. That's how bad my self-worth was. I finally got out of that, started doing good, had it together for 2 years. I was sober. I was still drinking heavily every single day, but that was sober to me. I'd never known anything different. And finally, my life came crashing down again after having a good job, a good car, a house, all those things that the world says is successful. I had all that, and it still wasn't enough to fulfill me. I didn't believe in God. I didn't know there was a God. From the time I was 11 up until I was 20, my ex-husband, he believed in God, and that's how I kind of was like, okay, maybe God's there, maybe he's not. He probably doesn't want anything to do with me. I'm too broken. I'm too lost. I've done too much. And so that's where I was. I was trying to fill that void of being enough for someone and allowing someone to be enough for me. And I didn't know that that was never going to happen. So, like I said, everything came crashing down, and I ended up getting arrested 4 times within 6 months. But the last time that I got arrested, there was a police officer, and he said, Kayla, he said, 25 years isn't enough. And I said, what? You know, cops usually don't talk to you like that. You know, and he said, he gave me a number to a lady named Sarah Myers who had been through Teen Challenge. He said, regardless of what happens here today, he said, we'll get you help. No one had ever offered me help before. No one. I didn't even know that it was an option. And I held on to that. The DA was against me going to Teen Challenge. I had to go in front of the judge and ask him if I could be court-ordered to Teen Challenge because I always knew there was a different way of life. I just didn't know how to obtain it. Everything that my hands touched turned to ruin. And I always wanted something. I didn't wake up and be like, oh, I'm going to be an addict. It wasn't the life that I chose. I mean, I chose it, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know that I was going to be an IV drug user at the age of 20. You know, I didn't know those things whenever I first started, like so many other ladies. They don't know that whenever they first start, or men, or how many ever. And since coming to Teen Challenge, I went to Teen Challenge. I did 16 months. It's supposed to be 12, but I needed it. I first got into the program. I allowed God to be my Savior, but I did not allow Him to be my Lord. And about 11 months into the program, God showed me the difference in that and what it means to give your whole heart to God and allow Him to sanctify you and allow Him to cleanse you from within and to wash you with His Word and to live for Him and not for yourself, because I had basically raised myself, so I didn't know dependence on anybody else but me. But God, in His faithfulness, whenever I wanted to run, He said, no, I love you too much. He put leaders in my life who spoke life into me whenever I didn't care enough about myself to even try. You know, and that's what that's the heart of Teen Challenge, is showing ladies and men that there is another way of life, that God loves you no matter what. And I know that even in my deepest, darkest moments, whenever I was out there doing the worst thing possible that I could have ever done, God looked at me and loved me and see me as someone worth saving whenever nobody else did, you know. And so I now work with Teen Challenge. I have the privilege to be able to get these ladies into the program. I'm the first one that gets to reach out and say, hey, there is hope. There is a way. And that's not because I'm some great person. That's because I have surrendered my life to the Lord and allowed Him to work through me. It's not the works of my hands, it's the work of His. You know, all He's asking for is a humble and willing vessel to do His work. So, I thank you guys for allowing us to come. We are going to have a short video, and then we're going to have a testimony, and then we're going to do a drama for you guys, and then a few more testimonies, okay? So thank you so much.
I remember time and again when a drug addict will walk through the door, you look in their eyes and you see hopelessness, you see pain, you see the suffering. Automatically, we embrace them with hope. We embrace them with love.
The substance abuse issue in the United States is a big issue, and it affects all aspects of society. And it not only affects just the individual, but it affects the entire family as well as the entire community.
So many times, those struggling with life-controlling problems have called a lot of places. They've maybe even been in programs before, and nothing has worked.
I remember shooting up and falling to my knees. I'd overdosed. And I remember thinking in my head that it was just the lowest point I'd gotten. It was, man. The next thing I know, I wake up and I'm still wanting more. And I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Those that are truly struggling with addictions are looking for places that they could truly overcome that addiction and find help in a safe place. And that is Teen Challenge.
I was so close to burning the bridge with my family, my mom, my sister, my children.
If I wasn't here, I'd probably be locked up by now. Even if I didn't get arrested earlier on, I'd probably get arrested again, and then I'd probably be in jail right now.
It was okay that I didn't have my family in my life. It was okay that I didn't have anybody else except for like this one person that I was in a relationship with. And I felt just so miserable and lost, and I had like no hope.
I was sitting in Santa Rosa County Jail and realized that I couldn't do this on my own. I needed something way bigger.
From that very moment that they call, we're instilling hope in them that, you know what, in spite of what's happened, God can still turn this situation around. And Teen Challenge is that vehicle that God uses.
Teen Challenge offers a holistic program that is long-term for adults and adolescents that are struggling and have been struggling with addictions to different substances, whether that's drugs or alcohol, or even with our teens that are truly having problems in school. They can come to a safe place and be able to find quality staff that will pour into their lives and help them truly to live lives that are successful.
I now feel like I can tell somebody that you are loved. You know, we can get through this together, and that's what it's about, is getting through it together. You know, we need God and we need each other.
There are different opportunities scheduled for discipleship starting first thing in the morning. They do corporate devotions. And then we have opportunities to participate in our work experience program, and they learn how to put into practice and apply the lessons that they're learning in class and in discipleship curriculum, and deal with basically life in a brand new way that many of them haven't learned yet.
The thrift stores contribute to the students' future by giving them a place to handle adversities, work as a team. It provides a place for them to learn good work ethic. It also helps them reintegrate into society.
So after I got saved, that's when I realized all the changes happening. That it wasn't me that was wanting to do good, but it was God through me, like helping me. So that really helped, and I was really happy about that.
It was exactly what I needed, to the T. It was exactly what I needed when I came here, and I'm so thankful for it.
when teens come, they're going to continue their education through a web-based school curriculum that's fully accredited, and also receive counseling and attend family meetings. If you look at the big picture, 15 months out of your son or daughter's life, to have a life-transforming experience is not that long to be enjoying her for the rest of her life.
When somebody that was completely broken, completely lost, hurt, to see somebody like that turn around and decide to serve those around them, decide to change their life, to love their family, to forgive when it's the hardest thing they've ever had to do. When you get to see somebody walk through that transformation, that's huge. But then to watch them even step up more and say, all right, now how do I give this freedom to others? That's why I wake up every morning.
Hope is the solution, and that hope is found in Jesus Christ. And Teen Challenge is the organization in the Southeast region that can deliver hope.
I've experienced the joy and the peace that just comes along with trusting Him, with not worrying, knowing that He's faithful, knowing that He's a God of restoration. And it's the most beautiful thing. I mean, He is a Father that loves me.
From Oakland, New Jersey. Growing up, I was taken from my biological parents when I was 9 months old. At the age of 10 months old, I was adopted into a new family. I had no idea that I was even adopted until about the age of 9. And when I've asked my parents about it, they had actually started to argue and fight physically with each other. When I turned 11, my parents had gotten a divorce, and they had specifically blamed it on my brother and I. That kind of wrecked me as a child. It gave me a sense of worthlessness and rejection. I went through intensive therapy in school for it. About the age of 17, I told my parents that if they really didn't like me, to just send me back to my parents' house in Mississippi, because the abuse had gotten so bad. I was living in the basement. Physically, emotional, verbal abuse was going on. I wouldn't tell nobody about it, but people knew that I was going through some stuff, and they invited me to their church. And I started going to their church, became a youth counselor, or not counselor, but a youth leader and a Sunday school teacher. And then right before I had moved, I had actually gotten raped behind a church. And that kind of ruined a lot of the Christian belief for me. When I moved down to Mississippi, I thought life was going to be greener on the other side. It wasn't. My biological mom was physically abusive. She would tell me that she didn't want me anymore. She would tell me that she wished she never gave birth to me. So that spirit of rejection and that spirit of worthlessness had surfaced again. I developed a really severe case of depression and anxiety, and I tried taking my life 4 times in 1 month. And I was instituted for all 4 of those times for a week at a time. And then eventually they told me that there was nothing else that they can do. The only option was to go to Teen Challenge. And so I laughed at them. I said, nope, not going to Teen Challenge. I'm not a teenager. Eventually, I go back to work, and my boss is like, I think you need to go to Teen Challenge. So at that point, that's 2 people telling me that. So I looked it up, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll give it a try. 2018, I came, and the Lord had started restoring my relationship with my adoptive family. I stayed for 9 months, and then I had actually left because of my own selfish desires. And then I started working in 2019 at a haunted house in Mississippi, and there I became friends with a group of people who were into witchcraft, and I had met my fiance, who was in the military. He was deployed, and a couple weeks later he ended up getting killed on deployment. So at that point, I gave up on myself. I started participating in the witchcraft and casting spells on other people. I started drinking heavily, and I even bought alcohol for minors, and that haunts me to this day. But life just got so bad and so, like, I couldn't even handle it anymore. So eventually I moved out of my mom's house. I was homeless, and I was sitting by the beach one day, no gas in my car, no money, no job, no house, and I came to the end of myself, and I just wanted to kill myself again. So the Lord was telling me to go back to Teen Challenge. So I immediately started reaching out to some people, and 5 hours later that day, I had to come in. They asked me when I wanted to come, and I said, I'm on my way. Eventually, when I got here, I felt love that I didn't feel last time I was here. The house is like one, we're all family. And since being back in Teen Challenge, the Lord continues to restore my relationship with my parents, and I get to see them in August and October for the first time in 5 years. The Lord has showed me that I can't find my worth and my acceptance in other people. I can only find it in Him. And my life verse is Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And that is my life verse, because just when I think that I don't have enough strength to keep going, the Lord gives it to me if I ask for it. Thank you.
My name's Carla. I'm 54 years old, and I am originally from Bogalusa, Louisiana. I first felt abandonment at a very, very young age of 2 years old when my mother was tragically killed in a car accident. I then went through several relationships that left me so broken and abandoned and feeling rejected and feeling worthless. And I fell into the life of addiction. And I remember feeling so alone that I couldn't even feel God. But then, on October 1st, 2019, God found me. I felt an unconditional love that I have never felt in my life. I didn't think anybody loved me. But my family brought me to Teen Challenge. And Teen Challenge has taught me that God loves you no matter what you've ever done. It doesn't matter what you've done. There's nothing so bad that God won't love you. And He will transform your life. My board says I went from dark and death to light and life because I looked so dark. And now people tell me my face shines with God. But that is God. That is not me. And God is a God of restoration. He has restored 2 of the 3 relationships I've prayed for. One of them was with my victim, whom I love like a father. He even fought for me. He forgave me, made sure I got help that I needed. And then God restored my family. I never knew how much my family loved me until I became so broken and they realized that I didn't know. And 2 weeks ago, I got to see my grandchildren for the first time in almost 2 years. But nothing like this would have happened had I not trusted, believed in, and obeyed God. I truly believe He allowed me to become broken so that I would trust Him and no one else. He's the only one. He's the only one that can do this. But if I hadn't become broken, I wouldn't have trusted Him. And then I wouldn't be able to go out and help broken people. And one day, when I'm done with this program, that's what I'm going to do. I've learned to trust like I've never had before in my life. My life verse is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. He's got a plan and a purpose for each of us. We just need to be a willing vessel.
Okay. Hi. My name is Emma, and I'm 23 years old. I'm from Harrisburg, Illinois. And growing up, I did not know God. I didn't grow up in a Christian household. I occasionally went to church, but as kind of friend functions. I got to hang out with my friends when I was young, and so I would go. But I didn't know God. And at an early age, at about 11, I entrusted my best friend with a very deep secret of mine, and she ended up telling the whole school. And at that age, it brought a spirit of rejection in me. And that rejection carried on throughout my junior high years and my high school years, and worsened whenever I was in a very physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive relationship for about 2 years, which also left me feeling like I had absolutely no identity, because this person would not let me talk to anybody, would barely even let me be with my family, had to know where I was at all times. And so I felt trapped, but I also felt as if I couldn't leave, because that was love, so I thought. I thought I loved this person, and I thought that they loved me. And eventually, finally, I got out of that relationship. And at this point, I had already started drinking. And whenever I got into college, at the age of 18, my drinking problem became much heavier. And I was in another relationship that ended in another heartbreak. And I became very, very depressed. And I stopped going to class. I basically just stayed in my dorm room and drank and stole alcohol from Walmart and got in trouble numerous times at school. And so I ended up dropping out, and I moved out of my parents' house, and the alcohol addiction just became worse at that point, and I got in multiple car accidents, which should have killed me. Attempted suicide many times, but God. It is only by His grace that I'm still here right now, standing in front of you. And eventually, my parents saw that I was getting really, really bad, and I totaled 3 cars, but I wasn't injured in any single one of those car accidents. Not injured in any one of them. And so I moved back in with my parents and developed another addiction to meth. And whenever my parents saw this happening, they made me go to rehab. And it was a secular rehab, but there is whenever someone actually told me about God. And they were like, have you ever had an experience where you know that nothing could have brought you out of that except a higher power, except God? And I was like, yeah, actually. And that is whenever I actually believed that there was a God. I didn't know God, but I was introduced to Him. And so I left that rehab and then went back again and left again. And my addiction just got worse until it was actually 1 year ago today that I prayed out to the Lord. I cried out to Him. I begged Him to take the addiction away from me. I begged Him to help me save myself, basically, because I was broken and lost, and I felt hopeless. I didn't believe that I was ever going to feel love or hope. And then a couple months later, my best friend Sarah actually got me into Teen Challenge. I went reluctantly. I was very angry, and I did not want to go. And whenever I got there, this was in Dixon, Kentucky Teen Challenge. When I got there, I actually overdosed. I overdosed when I got to the center, and I went to the hospital. And luckily, a week later, they came and picked me up from the hospital, even though I was a wreck. Like, I was very angry. I was mean to them. I did not treat them nicely in any sort of way, but they still helped me. Like, God still put it on their heart to help me. And I stayed there for 5 months, and I was very reckless and made some bad decisions, and so I was dismissed. And I ended up relapsing, and I was basically running away from God at this point. But luckily, God runs a lot faster than I do. And so, once again, I cry out to God to please save me. And this time is even worse because I know that I'm going against Him. I know that I am hurting Him in doing this. And so I reach out to the director of Dixon, Kentucky Teen Challenge, but she tells me that I'm too comfortable there and won't let me come back. But I could go to Pensacola, Florida. And I was like, I've heard about that Pensacola, Florida. I don't know about it, but God was like, you're going. And I was like, okay, I'm going. And here I am now. And since being here, I really can feel a sense of worth. Jesus is my source of hope. I don't have to keep trying to find my identity and my worth in other people or in things or drugs. And I get to be a big sister to some of these ladies here, and it's one of the greatest feelings in the world to just be able to pour into another life. And my life verse is Psalm 34:6. In my desperation, I prayed to the Lord, and he listened. He saved me from all my troubles. But God.
So I just wanted to come back up here for just a few minutes and highlight on something that was common in each of these ladies' stories. And it's but God. But the love of God runs faster than we do. You know, it is that love, that being able to experience that love from God that changes our hearts and changes us. You know, it is that overwhelming of someone really does love me. You know, and we are the vessels that God uses for that. He can do it all on his own too, and he does, because there are moments in my life where there's no one around, but it was the love of God that I felt. You know, but he also uses us as people to show that love. You know, so I just want to say I'm so proud of each and every single one of these ladies. We don't always get it right, but we continue to step forward. And that's what each of these ladies have done. You know, instead of running, they're willing to let God come in and to love them. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to do. I was so scared to allow someone to love me. I was so afraid of that. You know, because I had been hurt so much and I had kept everybody at a distance. I had a smile on my face, but on the inside I was dead spiritually until I allowed the Lord to come in and to change my life. And each of these ladies are doing that while they're here. They may not know it all the time, but they are. And it may not always feel good, but it is good because he is good. So Amanda has something that she's going to share with you guys as well.
Just wanted to say thank you for allowing us to come out and fellowship and be with you guys on Mother's Day especially. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. We have a table that I want you guys to come and see. We have merchandise there that you can purchase, but we have something very special. A lot of people ask me how they can contribute, how they can donate, and I'll let them know about Hope Has a Name. Hope Has a Name is a sponsorship. It's $30 a month. But you can help these students not have to worry about the financial burden of being in a program where they can just rest and get to know who God is and allow him to do the work that he needs to do in them and just pour his love out on them. So we have information back there if you're interested. If you sign up today, we have a free gift. So again, thank you for letting us come out here and stop by. These ladies love to pray. You need prayer, just come and see us. We'll pray for you. There's some ladies that didn't give their testimonies that would love to tell you what God has done in their life. So again, thank you, and that concludes our service for today.
The comment of the day is running from God, and he runs faster than we do. I love that. I love it.